Hey there, and welcome to my channel. I am Brittany Flammer. I'm a certified financial coach, which essentially means I help people start budgeting through my course and I help them stick to their budget with my membership. We are at the end of January, so today I'm going to share with you my budget report or budget wrap up for January and walk you through how I will set up my budget for February. Now, usually I take these videos and I film them and edit them and post them on YouTube a couple of days before the beginning of the month. Today, I am doing it live so I can walk you through the process of how I close out my budget at the end of the month and start fresh for the next, because a lot of that gets edited out when I edit the videos. If you have any questions along the way, type them in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, type it in the comments. I do my best to respond to all of them. And also I know today is not the last day of January. Usually I would wait till the end of the month to wrap it up. That would be tomorrow, but I'm traveling tomorrow, so I can't do it. So I'm doing it today. I am going ahead and pull up my spreadsheet. I like spreadsheets. This principle works whether you are using a spreadsheet or a budgeting app or pen and paper. It doesn't really matter. The principles are the same. And I have had people ask me to enlarge in this real quick. I don't know why the keyboard shortcut's not working. Hang on. Okay, so here's my spreadsheet. We are a family of 7. We have 5 kids. We're living in northern Utah. With the budget at the beginning of the month, I go through and plan. Now, the budget is just a plan for our money. And if you have ever planned anything in your life, it never goes 100% according to plan. I've been doing this for 20-ish years. So mine's pretty close, but it's never 100% accurate because life doesn't go according to plan. But now at the end of the month, I'm focusing on what we actually spent and how it compares to our initial budget. And then I will take those numbers and tweak some things for the next month. So I'm going to go ahead and start with income. We budgeted just under $6,000 for my husband. He is salary. His paycheck was $6,115. I have not looked at the pay stub. I don't know why it's more than usual. The last few months it's fluctuated a little bit, but I'm not going to argue that it's more than normal. So extra $125 is great. Now, my business, we don't budget anything, and every month I make some money, but we try to live off of my husband's income, and then my income is supposed to be for fun stuff. Right now, we were doing an addition to our house, and all of my money is going towards that. And it's not very much fun to me, but this summer it should be done. And then money will be going towards travel or fun things. Let me know in the chat or in the comments what you would spend the extra money on if you had it. Cash back, we did not budget anything for this. We have a credit card that gives us 2% cash back. And usually I just let it accumulate. And at the end of the year, that's our Christmas budget. This year, we actually switched to a new card, and this one lets me transfer our cash back to our account, like to our checking account and savings account. So I am just at the end of the month, I'm going to transfer that money and put it in an online savings account. So we'll earn a little bit of interest. And then interest, we earned almost $100 in interest. We have quite a bit of money in online savings accounts. Our emergency funds, most of it is in an online savings account. And then some of our shorter term sinking funds, all of the money I make that's going towards that garage addition, all of that sitting in online savings account, earning between 4 and 5% interest right now. So we don't budget for any of that. We just put it back into our accounts. I'll show you further down. So total income, almost $9,000, which is huge for us. Almost $3,000 more than planned, which means our tithing was higher than planned. So we pay a 10% tithe of our gross income. So I made more money than was planning on. So we paid more in tithing. So I'm happy to go over budget in that because that means that we made more money. So total there was $1,325. Our mortgage is fixed, $1,376. So that was exactly what we planned. Our electricity, our natural gas, our city bill, these are all the same every month. We have an average payment plan where we live. So they're the same every month. And then once a year, they will adjust it. And so then it will be the same every month. So that's really helpful for knowing what to budget. My life insurance is fixed. I have had questions about our life insurance. This is a term policy for me. It's $250,000. And I would have been like 35-ish when I got the policy. Our car insurance, we only paid $40. So we typically pay around $103. But our insurance, they started, I think it was in COVID, at least that's when I first noticed it. Because there were a lot less accidents, they spent a lot less money on insurance claims. So they gave a lot of money back to their customers in the form of a dividend that went towards their bill. And since then, every year in December or January, they've given money back, and it just is applied to your account. So we only had to pay $40 this month, and they've done it since COVID, and every year I forget about it. So that's a good problem to have. Never has anyone had their insurance be less than they thought, right? Phone bill, exactly what we planned on, $30. Internet, exactly what we planned on at $55. Gas for our cars, we only spent $121. January is a long month, but it's been really, really cold here, but it hasn't snowed much. So my husband's been able to bike. I think he drove one day this entire month. So he's been able to bike to work. We haven't driven very much. We only have one kid in sports right now. And we've had some sickness. So I just gassed up like yesterday. So we have full tank. So we've only spent $121 in gas. Piano was less than expected because my daughter was sick and missed one lesson. And we have a new teacher, and she didn't charge us for the lesson that she missed. Guitar, my son had one lesson. His teacher had a conflict and had to cancel. So we only had to pay $30 for his guitar this month. Groceries, we budgeted $700, we spent $836. Now, when I say groceries, for me, this is like groceries and like household consumables, cleaning supplies, toilet paper, paper towels, that kind of stuff. And I tend to go over budget almost every month in this, but no matter how high I make it, I feel like I go over budget. So I don't want to increase my budget. But that's because when I'm at Walmart or Costco, for example, I was at Costco yesterday, and it was mostly food stuff I got, but I got a few non-food items. Like I got some clothing and a few different things. I just lumped it all into groceries because I don't want to split my check. You totally can split your purchases. And if it were major, like if I spent a ton on clothing, I would have subtracted that. But it was just a little bit. So I just lump it all together, kind of almost like a miscellaneous. So I'm okay going over budget there. Eating out, we only spent $15. We obviously did not do much eating out. Miscellaneous, $6.59. Kids money, we pay our kids to do some jobs. Some jobs they just have to do, but we pay them for some. And I think that was $26 of that was paying our kids for some of their jobs. But 100 of it, I'm trying out an online bank that's like a family bank for our kids, for our oldest to get debit cards and to be able to manage. I'm testing out Crew Finance, if you've ever heard of it. And so I transferred over $100 just to fiddle and play around with the app. Entertainment, nothing. The month of January, we go skiing as a family. We bought season passes. We have all of the equipment. So that doesn't cost us anything to go up and go skiing. We do that at least once a week. Apparently we didn't do much else. We've been sick a lot of the month, and it's been like one person here, then another person. So we really, like my husband and I, we did do one date night, but we had like a game night with some other couples. So we haven't spent much. So we are at $3,033 for our expenses, which is actually under budget. So even though I went over on groceries, I was under on a lot of others, so it worked out. We have no outstanding debt other than our mortgage, and I've already accounted for that. So I'm going to skip ahead to our savings or our sinking funds and the emergency fund. We don't budget anything, but it's in an online savings account. So this $50 is interest. Now we don't get paid the interest until the very last day of the month, which is tomorrow. So I am guessing it will probably be a couple dollars more than this. And afterwards I will go in and tweak it and fix it, but it'll be around $50. So now we're at 16,860. Knock on wood, it's been a long time since, I don't know if we've ever actually touched our emergency fund. For me, our emergency fund is like if my husband loses his job, something drastic. So I'd be interested to know if you have used your emergency fund, what you have used it for. My husband's fund money and bike money budgeted, he got $50. He spent 14, so he has 136 in his account. That's just in an online checking account. He's got a debit card for it. I transfer the money over. My fund money, I got 25. I was budgeted 25 and put 25 in. I spent $8.50. It's a sad day. The town, we're in a small town that does not have a public library. So we can go to a neighboring town's library, but we have to pay, and it's like $90 for 6 months, I think is what it is. And it's a tiny library. It's a great library. It's just small compared to everywhere else we've ever lived. And they don't have a ton of books. And I love audiobooks for when I'm cleaning and doing that. So I'm testing out the Audible Plus. So I paid for that out of my fund money. So I've got 158 left. Life insurance, budgeted 68. We set aside 68, didn't spend any. And I've gotten a lot of questions about my husband's life insurance, why it's so expensive for term. So this is a term life insurance policy for my husband. It's $1 million policy. And he got it. He was about 45 when we got the policy. So we had another policy for when we were younger, but when we moved here, his income like doubled. So we increased our policy, and he was 45. So it's like 800 and something a year. We get a discount for paying it once a year. So we set aside $68 every month, so that in the fall when we have to pay it, we've already got the money there. So we're up to 211 there. House maintenance, we budgeted 250. We put 250 in, and this is like the first month we haven't spent anything on house maintenance. So we have a whopping $250.65. And we have a washing machine that we know needs to be replaced soon. It runs fine. It's a front loader, and the hinges have broken. So my husband's like Jimmy rigged it. And it lasted for like a month, and then he had to re-Jimmy rig it, but it won't latch. So we have like tie downs for our truck wrapped around the washing machine. So every time I do a load, I have to like strap it down so that the door will stay on. So it works fine, but as soon as we have enough money saved up, we will buy a new washing machine. So I'm hoping sooner rather than later. Vacation, we budgeted 200. We put in 200, and then $3.24 was just interest for that online account that was deposited into it. So we are now up to 281 there. House updates, we don't budget anything for this, but then, like I said, all of my income goes towards this. So you can see I took home 2,560. So some of that went towards our tithing, and the rest went towards our house updates. We did spend $813. My husband can do basic HVAC stuff. He has a lot of maintenance background, which is amazing and saves us so much money. And for this addition, it's a garage with an apartment. But he wanted to have professionals do the HVAC just to make sure everything was done correct. So we paid for professionals to do it. It was a smaller company, and the mini split system we have, apparently they were not very familiar with, and they made some mistakes. So it was leaking. So we had to pay for a different professional to come in and fix everything. So that's what we paid for this month. Right now, we're just trying to accumulate as much money as possible so that when it warms up a little bit, we can finish the exterior and everything's all done. It's just, and even the sheetrock's done on the inside. It's now we got to paint the walls and put flooring and appliances and all that stuff. So I've gone through and priced out how much it will be, and we should by spring have enough in our account to finish paying for everything, especially if we take some from our tax return, which we're expecting. Clothing, we budgeted 100, put 100 in, spent 50. So we've got 50 in there. Gifts, we budgeted 50, put 50 in, and we spent $49. So we have $10 left there. Car expenses, we budgeted 100, but actually put 125. These little asterisks mean that they're sinking funds that are automatically every month have money transferred from our checking account. Right after we get paid, it goes from our checking account into online savings. And apparently I set the automation to 125, and I forgot to correct that in my budget. So I need to update that for February. So 125 went in. So we have 585. We probably could decrease it because we're not expecting anything major on our vehicles other than like registration. But I rather have more in there than less for when something breaks on some vehicle, because inevitably it will, right? Christmas, we didn't budget anything. We put $24.50 in, and that's just the cash back from our credit card. We just transferred into that account. So we've got $24.50. Kids extracurricular, we budgeted $400. We put $400 in. We now have $833. In fact, I am soon going to decrease this because one of our children stopped doing a competitive sport. And so our expenses are a lot less, but we have a big trip in February, a soccer tournament that we'll be spending a lot in. So for January and February, I'll leave this at 400, and then I'll probably adjust it. My husband's Roth IRA, we budgeted 400. My Roth IRA, we budgeted 400. And we do have a little bit, 10% of whatever income I make, we put in towards mutual funds, but it comes out of my business account. It never touches our personal. So I don't have that recorded here. I probably should add that. Anyway, our difference, we have an extra $83 left for the month. What $100 is about my threshold. If we have more than 100, then I will transfer it into something like our vacation fund or something. Under 100, I usually just keep it in here because I like having a buffer in the checking account. Because inevitably some months I might go over a little bit. If I should go over some, I'm not worried. I know that we're fine. But now, so that's January. That's how I go through my budget. I just make note of where I need to make changes. And now I'm going to duplicate this. So I'm just going to come down here, duplicate it. There we are. Okay, my internet is not very fast today. I'm going to rename it February. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to leave the budgeted amount from last month so I can kind of see what we did last month. I could take the numbers from the actual and put them in budgeted, but I'm not going to worry about that. And I'm just going to go through and delete everything that's not in a formula. And I will tweak the numbers for February. I'll just make a few changes. Okay, I've got all that done. Okay, so I'm just going to go through and plan for February. So my husband's been making more. He's been making like $6,100. Like I said, I should probably look at his pay stub and figure out why. But I'm just going to go with that because it's been a couple of months he's gotten that. Not going to plan anything for my income for my business. The cash back, we're just going to put straight into our Christmas, and our interest is going to stay in those accounts. So I'm not planning on budgeting any of that money. Tithing will be about $900, and then if I make more, we will pay more. So then our mortgage, I mentioned the addition we're doing. I finally went through our insurance and increased our policy a little bit to cover that addition. So it went up like $6 a month or something like that. But I just updated our payment to be $1,400 a month because that's a nice round, even number. It's not much of a difference, but it'll cut off like 6 months or something or 4 months. I can't remember. I plugged it into the calculator. It'll cut off a few months of our mortgage, and it doesn't make much of a difference to us. Electricity, budgeted 60, natural gas, the 68, 196, and then we have to pay, it's like 49 cents for a processing fee. Life insurance is fixed. Car insurance should be back to regular for the next month. Our phone bill is fixed. Our internet's fixed. Gas for our cars, we are doing, we have a soccer tournament. It's like 6 hours away, and we're taking the van, which doesn't get as good gas mileage. And I'd rather increase our budget a little bit for this than pull it out of like our vacation fund or our kids extracurricular fund. So I'm going to increase it a little bit. That probably won't cover all of the gas, but if we go over, I can pull some out of our vacation fund. Piano, I checked the calendar. She will have 4 lessons, so that'll be 80. My son will only have 3 guitar lessons. So that's only 30. Groceries, for now, I'm just going to keep it at 700. Eating out, 50. Normally, I don't need it that high, but where we are going for the weekend, I will take our food, but I wouldn't be surprised if we eat out like one meal. They have a get together with the team, and probably the team and either myself or my husband will go. So we'll probably pay for that. Probably like a date with my husband. Miscellaneous, always good to have. Kids. Our kids could cost us $75 a month if they all did all their jobs and marked them all off. They all do majority of their jobs. They just aren't very good about marking it off. So 25 seems to be working. Entertainment, 25. So that puts us at 3,100, which is about 51% of our take-home pay. Then we're going down to the savings. So the whole point of this, it's a zero-based budget. The whole point is to have plan our money so that our money left at the end is zero. So the goal is to get that to zero. We're not putting anything into our emergency fund because it's funded. My husband gets 50, I get 25, life insurance is 68, house maintenance is 250, vacation is 200, house updates we're not adding to, clothing is 100, gifts is 50, car expenses is 100, Christmas, we're just putting our cash back in there. We're not counting anything out of our budget. And then our kids extracurricular, actually car expenses, I said that was 125, so I need to change that. Kids extracurricular. So this is all pretty straightforward. I mentioned that all of this money is automatically transferred. So I went at the beginning of the year, I have a video, I planned out our sinking funds and how much we needed to put into them each month. And then I just set up the automatic transfers. At some point throughout the year, I'll make some tweaks and changes, but when it's automated, I don't have to think about it or worry about it. It's just simpler for me. So like I said, at some point, I will probably decrease our kids' extracurricular, and maybe then we can get our washing machine sooner. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. So we have an extra $23. I'm going to add that to groceries because that seems to be where I always go over. Okay, 14 cents. I didn't do the math. I could do math, but that's okay. We'll just leave the 14 cents. And then I go back to January. So these sinking funds, I look at the end balance, and I'm going to copy that and go to February and put it in the beginning balance. But I'm only going to paste the values because I don't want to mess up the formulas. So I am going to do a paste special, values only. And then we're at the end of the month. Automatically on the 1st, all of these transfers are going to go out. They're already set up, so I'm going to put it in. And I'll show you why I'm doing that in just a minute. Let me just finish entering these. Car expenses. Okay. Those are all the automatic transfers because my formula is linked down here. So I have $723 in my grocery budget. It automatically populates here. In my template, if you purchase a template, I don't have them automatically populate because everyone has different categories they want to focus on. These are mine. So it's taking the end balance here because I've already transferred this money in. So it's automatically taking that number and putting it down here. And then throughout the month, as I spend, I will type it in here so I can see how much I have left. That is how I do it. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them here. I would love to know if you enjoy these videos, if you want me to keep doing them. These definitely get the least views on my channel, but I like to do them because I like to show people how I do it. But they're kind of boring and it's very similar month to month. But I have toyed with the idea of just including stuff like this in my membership and not doing it here on YouTube. So if you are interested, leave a comment. Let me know that you want me to keep doing them. Otherwise, I might just do them inside my membership from now on. I'm not sure. Haven't decided for sure. So let me know your thoughts. And if you have any questions that come up, type them in the comments. I will respond to them as quickly as I can. I try to do my best. Anyway, thank you so much for joining. If you have interest in joining the membership to stay accountable with your budgeting, I will put a link in the description box to the Fit Finance Club. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.